Great to have your company on The Moments That Matter, our first edition for 2024. I'm Jack Heverin, as always, alongside Derek Rucker. We've even got Redfoo in the background who's checking out this one as well. Ruck, let's start with what we just saw, the Brisbane Bullets, probably their best win of the season over the Sydney Kings.
It was, and in a game they really needed to have on the back of their win over Southeast Melbourne last week in Brisbane. People didn't give them much credit for that victory because it was at home, other circumstances that happened within the game. But today, Jack, they came down here and delivered a convincing and comprehensive victory over the Sydney Kings. They pretty much dominated the game from about late in the first quarter until the end. There were a few hiccups where Sydney made a run, but make no mistake, Sydney really never had a chance in this game.
Justin Schuller coached so well today. You and Brad were talking about it in the broadcast of him just being one step ahead all afternoon.
Well, I think overall, if you grade him out this year, I probably got Schuller at around a B. Look, he's made some mistakes that all first-year coaches do. Some hurt them more than others, but the reality is they're in the playoff hunt. They've got a chance. They've won 2 in a row. They came down here and got this one, and now we kind of trying to figure out what's up with this Sydney Kings team. They lost to a team that was really hungry today in Brisbane, but the thing that again alarms me, and I talked about this on Friday during NBL Now, it's the fact that they don't seem to have the fight and the resolve when things get tough. How do they manufacture victories? How do they create confidence? How do they get belief? How do they stand up and say, we're not accepting this, we got to stop some teams defensively? It was just, it's so fascinating to watch this Kings team continue to struggle in the face of adversity.
They're not going well. I'm not sure there's any other way that you can put that right now for the Sydney Kings. They're not going very well, Derek.
And somehow they still sit fourth on the ladder, but it's a bad fourth. I think that in their last 11 games, they've only won 4. They've lost 4 in a row here in the place that used to be their fortress, Kudos Bank Arena, and they're regularly giving up a lot of points. So, again, I said on the podcast, NBL Now, play your best guys. Start your best guys now. I love Bruce. I love Noy. I think those guys have been valuable contributors to championship teams. But they did that coming off the bench.
Yep.
Go back with Valentine in the starting lineup. Continue with Adams. Get Bolden out there. Change it up, but you got to go with your most talented players. Allow them to develop a rhythm, and hopefully you can turn this thing around. If you can't turn it around defensively, hopefully you can outscore some teams.
Another 30-piece for Bryce Cotton, this time in New Zealand in the early game today. Is the MVP race over?
It is. Bryce Cotton is the best player in the competition, and not only that, he's performing like the best player in the NBL and leading his team to victories. I didn't really give Perth much of a chance winning in New Zealand based on how well New Zealand have been playing and their newfound confidence since they've gotten everyone back into the lineup. But again, Bryce is a master of the moment. He understands when to take advantage. He's got the talent that no one else in the league has. He can score the basketball. He wills his teammates to victory. He did that today in New Zealand. 33 big points. Perth continue to roll.
That's a big win for Perth. I mean, New Zealand are playing really good basketball at the moment in New Zealand. Full credit to the Wildcats. That is fantastic.
One of the key tenets of Perth Wildcats basketball is being able to win games on the road in tough circumstances. They've done it for the better part of 3 decades, and now you see them doing it again, and that's championship material.
The Adelaide 36ers, let's be honest, we've been pretty critical of them on this show throughout the season, justifiably so. Let's give them all of the flowers that they deserve from Saturday night's win over Melbourne United. I'm not sure where that's been all season long. Had we have seen more of that, they probably wouldn't be in the position they're in now.
Well, it was interesting that they played Trenton Flowers so few minutes because he's a guy, I believe, that gives him good energy and athleticism, but they moved him out of the rotation last night, and the team performed well. They got a good result. DJ Vasiljevic was outstanding. Isaac Humphries, who I feel has had a very underrated season again, was really hurtful inside against JLA. I thought he dominated the interior against Melbourne United. And also, I just thought the other guys contributed nicely. Wiley always gives you energy. He was great. But Trey Kell was the other one who added a great supplementary offensive drive to what DJ was giving you. And, you know, if they can play like that, again, there's not much from 6 to 10.
Yeah.
The play-in is still possible for the Sixers. They've got some nice home games coming up that they can win. So, look, it was a pivotal one. And if we talk about Melbourne United, things are looking a little bit dicey.
Yeah. What are you seeing?
Well, they dropped 2 out of 3 on the road. The game they won here in Sydney the other night, the first half was anyone's game. They blew Sydney out in the second half. But up in Cairns on New Year's Eve, they really didn't bring what I expected them to. And then last night in Adelaide, again, I thought they were a little bit flat. Maybe it's the travel. I have no idea what's going on. But they need to find some rhythm and some better performances. Otherwise, there are some teams that will give them some problems in the playoffs.
They had a great win on Thursday here against Sydney. Do you think that was all of the mental and physical toll of that game left them a little bit short against Adelaide?
And there's so many variables, as I've discussed during the holiday season. New Year's Eve in Cairns is a tricky one. Not only because it's a holiday and the celebrations and so forth, but they also knew they had the game here coming up in Sydney, which they knew was a big game. It's a well-highlighted game. It's a marquee game in the NBL. Then they win that one, and perhaps there was an emotional letdown going to Adelaide, thinking, you know what, Adelaide aren't playing well. We can go down there, pop them, and then go back to Melbourne. That's
not an excuse, by the way. You've got to win every game that comes your way. The Tasmania Jack Jumpers beat the Cairns Taipans. It was just so noticeable, Derek, that when Milton Doyle is back and playing smooth, clean basketball like he does, how much more efficient the Jack Jumpers are.
It is, and he's one of the most talented players that we have in the league, and it's good to see him out there playing basketball to this level again. We know the personal circumstances that have transpired in his life, and it's just good to see him hopefully now turning the corner, and I'm sure Jack Jumpers fans were really pleased to see him ebullient again and really efficient from the field. The other thing, though, is getting Will Magnay back into the lineup. He adds something defensively that only a couple of other teams have in the league. So if they can get all those guys cooking again, Tassie are going to be right there in the race for second place.
Let's finish off with thumbs up, thumbs down. Let's start with the thumbs up. Who's getting a pat on the back this week?
Thumbs up, I'm going to have to give it to the Perth Wildcats. I think the Wildcats are just really tough, and they're playing good basketball. They dealt with the late news that Alex Sarr won't be playing due to a hip injury for some time. So to still go out there and win basketball games, especially in a tough place, I got the Perth Wildcats as my thumbs up this week.
I'm going to give mine to DJ Vasiljevic. He wants to be the man. He's been pretty public about wanting to be the man for a team, and at the moment, that's the Adelaide 36ers. You play like that, that's how you're the man.
Certainly, and look, DJ is probably one of the more polarizing players in the competition. I love his confidence. I love how he goes out there and tries to make it happen for his team. Some people allow leadership and stardom to come to them. Others go out and grab it, and DJ's the latter.
Thumbs down?
Thumbs down. It's got to be the Sydney Kings. Yeah, this is tough. You never really want to harp on a team when they're down, but the expectations are championship here. That goes from the ownership group to the management group. They expect high achievement. They had high hopes coming into the season. Those hopes are not being met. The team isn't playing to the level. The players are aware of it. But at some point, there must be that light bulb moment where we go as a group, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And we're going to get it done by all means necessary, even if it means totally altering how I approach basketball as an individual. Right now, collectively, as a group, we've got to change this dynamic.
My thumbs down is to the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix. Yes, they had a lot of injuries, so it's not the result necessarily that's the thumbs down. It's more the fact that they're another one that it kind of feels like their finals chances are starting to slip through their fingers a little.
Yeah, you're rough right there. I give them a little bit of a let-off because of the injuries, but to get blown out by 40, is really hard. I mean, if you wanted to get blown out by 38, 40, 42 points, it's hard to do. And again, like, go out there and play that game to the instruction. Play hard. Make it difficult for your individual matchup. Make it difficult for that other team. It's about body language. It's a similar thing I talked about with the Kings players in the second half against Melbourne United. Like, it's about how you carry yourself and the energy you share within the group that can turn around bad situations and lead back to prosperity.
Well, that's done and dusted for the moments that mattered. First of the year, have you got any New Year's resolutions?
I do. I'm growing hair.
That's just not going to happen. I'm going to go and get a Strepsil because my voice is completely gone. Thanks so much for being with us this week on the Moments That Mattered. We'll catch you next week.